Sorry about that, those of you out there in virtual land. I apologize to those of you here. We had a little problem there with the Facebook Live, but I think we should be back up and running now. We good? Okay. So, as I was saying, I love Thanksgiving. And happy Thanksgiving to every one of you out there. Thanksgiving to me is a traditional day. When I was a young boy, I would often have Cheerios with banana sliced up. Well, that's my Thanksgiving breakfast. I'd also watch the Today Show as I was growing up with Jane Pauley and Brian Gumbel and Willard Scott on the weather. And, well, that's what I do on Thanksgiving is I watch the Today Show. You know, and of course you have the big family feast of friends coming over and family coming over for the turkey and the stuffing and the gravy and the, green bean casserole, the pies. Can't forget your pecan pie and your cherry pie and your pumpkin pie. Then you have Black Friday shopping. Yes, I'm crazy and I always go Black Friday shopping. Well, maybe not this year. Maybe I'll be virtually shopping on Black Friday. But Black Friday shopping to me is a way for me to get into that spirit. It's that anticipation that flows throughout the next month or so leading up to Christmas time. And you see all the Christmas decorations going up. I remember going to Disney World one Thanksgiving or one Black Friday, and they already had the Christmas decorations up on Main Street in Disney World in Florida. That feeling of anticipation is something that's so ingrained in me when it comes to Thanksgiving, feeling that anticipation of it growing week by week until you get to Christmas, until you get to see what Santa brought you or see the look of your kids or what they see as what, Santa brought them. That anticipation throughout the whole week. You have Advent calendars, and you have the calendars that people make, the little candies in them, and now they have ones with wine in them. The countdown to Christmas. It's that anticipation that everybody loves so much. How's it going to feel this year? Are we going to have that anticipation? Are we going to have that big family gathering on Thursday with mom and dad and grandma and grandpa and the kids and the grandkids and the great-grandkids? Or are you going to do that via Zoom? Are you going to still have that buildup of anticipation of going out Black Friday at midnight or 4 in the morning to get the best deals at the mall? What's the Macy's parade going to be like this year? That's my big question. I'm sure PBS will still play their Alice's Restaurant Massacre in 4-part harmony at noon on Thanksgiving as they always do. But what's the parade going to be like? What's Black Friday going to be like? Are Christmas decorations going to be as cheerful this year as in past years? Should you feel sad and angry about that? Upset that this year is not going to be like all the rest? Are you going to feel happy? To still have that anticipation within you, that wonderment that this season brings to everybody. Waiting for that doorbell to ring of a friend that you haven't seen in a long time. Or waiting for that Zoom meeting to start so you can see your parents that you haven't seen in years. Or maybe not years, but months. Or that FaceTime call coming through on your phone. It has a little different ring knowing that it's a FaceTime call on your phone. Knowing that you're going to be able to see people, smile and laugh like you did years before. I've heard it said that this year we celebrate alone. We celebrate via Zoom and FaceTime so that next year when we get together, we'll all be able to come together and be together. But back to the emotions that we may feel this year. Because just like a battery, regular AA battery that I bought yesterday for the Christmas candles that are going in my windows at home, it has a positive and negative side to it. Just like you do. It needs a positive, negative side so that it can work, just as you do. Because we could be positive all the time, of course, and always see the positive, and negative, never see the negative. But do you really want your family, that household of 13 people when I was growing up, living in the same house 365 days a year? Or do you want that positivity just that one time? Would you always want to have turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and green bean casserole and candied yams and pumpkin pie and pecan pie every day? Or are you positive because that day, that excitement of that day of Thanksgiving, you get that food? There are great masters that have talked about this contrast. They've talked about the benefit of living in this contrast that we have. Because we've come here to live in this life of contrast. If you think about that sitcom back in the 1980s, The Facts of Life, you think of their little jingle, their introduction song. You take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life. Yes, the facts of life with Blair, Tootie, Joe, Mrs. Garrett, Natalie. But it doesn't mean that we always have to focus on those negative things in our life, those negative things that will come to pass, like this year not being able to have that huge family gathering that you wanted. In the world, there are two different types of people, I feel. The first one, we call her Debbie Downer. Howie said a name earlier today. I can't remember what he had named. Mary Sunshine. Molly See No Good is the one that I found. This person wakes up every day, is always down, always dour and critical of everything. Communication with others is bad-mouthing life, bad-mouthing the world, sinking into depths of negativity, never looking on the bright side of life, criticizing anything that's come into her life as, well, that's just going to end up being wrong. She blames everyone outside of herself. Blames everyone outside of herself for her bad life, for her poor life, and what happens to her in different events. Molly hasn't said thank you in years. She's been living and drowning in the self-created darkness of her life. Then there's another person you may know in your life. This person is Seymour Good. I'd like to play on names, I'm sure. Seymour Good always sees the good in everything, has a cheerful outlook on life. When something doesn't go wrong, he doesn't say, why is this happening to me? He says, what is this teaching me? What can this possibly teach me? This seemingly tragedy in my life. He's an adventurer that goes out looking for the brightness of the day. He's the one that can make lemonade out of lemons that life may give them. And yes, I can go on for days with these different analogies. His smile brightens up the room as he comes into it because people know that he has this cheerful disposition. He sees the good in everywhere and everyone and everything that happens. And he gives thanks constantly. He opens up that floodgate to that good that is in the world. There's an old Cherokee tale about two wolves. Grandfather's sitting by the fire and his grandson comes in. Tells his grandson, my son, there's a battle between two wolves in your life. One is evil, one is anger, envy, jealousy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other one is good. It's joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The grandson thought for a moment, then asked his grandfather, well, which wolf wins? The old Cherokee simply stated, it's the one that you feed. Which one are you feeding? Which one are you feeding on this Thanksgiving week? Are you giving thanks for those abundances that you have in your life? For those things that may be different from last year, but that are teaching you new and joyous ways of looking at life? Who are you choosing to be? Each soul must learn to live this life because we are not born with instructions. And if you're a parent, you know this pretty well. I say this often. You don't come with instructions, son. We're going to figure this out on our own. Figure out what life is teaching us and not be down. The greatest discovery that each person is that you can rise above. You can rise above that dourness of Debbie Downer. You can rise above that negativity that is out there. How many times in your life, when you've been preparing a Thanksgiving dinner, Have you argued with your significant other? How many times have you argued, well, we need to take the turkey out today? No, we can take it out next week. It'll be fine. And once you get the turkey defrosted, then you got to clean it out. You've got to get out all the little stuff that sticks to the inside of the turkey. Or can you leave that stuff in and that's fine? Or do you have to dry the turkey? And how do you dry the turkey? And how well can you dry the turkey? Does it really need to be dry? Because it's going in the oven. It's going to bake off anyway. Do you stuff it? Or do you leave the stuffing out and cook the stuffing separately? Mashed potatoes, are they lumpy or not? All those things, do you argue with your spouse about, or your significant other, or your family members about? Does that really matter? Does it really change the meaning of Thanksgiving and how you feel? Those are outward appearances. Those aren't who you are truly in your soul, though. That's the outer world. And our ego tries to always have success, to always be one up on somebody and win that battle. Well, he's drying out the turkey, so I won that battle, ha-ha. That's your ego talking. That's not truly you. My house growing up, we called it the Bickersons, and they'd make their appearance about once a holiday. Just bicker back and forth. But that's not truly who people are. That's just the perception of who you are. The real success is found within you. Life is constantly changing. If you remember as a kid looking through a kaleidoscope, and as you looked through it and you spun it, the pieces of glass, the pieces of plastic would change, and it would change and create a whole new world, a whole new image. That's what life is doing. Life is an ever-changing kaleidoscope of positive possibilities. And the more you give thanks to these possibilities, the more you'll be in that flow of thankfulness, and that be thankful and see more things that you can be thankful for. In Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 10, it says, "When you have eaten and are satisfied, praise the Lord your God for the good land God has given you." You've heard it said before that life is for living. But life is just as much for those who perceive it. Life is perception. Your perception of life determines what your life will be. Will you be one of those people who look at the negative of everything? Oh, life's giving me lemons, but again, I don't like lemons. Or are you going to be the person that life gave me lemons, let's make lemonade. And if you're of age, maybe add some, never mind. But your perception determines what your life is going to be. There's a Unity minister that often has used the metaphor about living life to the fullest of each moment. What he called the juiciness, and living the juiciness of life, of that experience. Think of a child, not me because I despise watermelon, but think of a child and how they eat watermelon. When they eat watermelon, do they put it on a plate, get a nice white napkin, tuck it in their shirt, make sure nothing gets on their nice outfit, uses a fork and knife and cuts it up and eats it? No. When a kid gets a slice of watermelon on a hot summer day, they dive into that, full of juiciness. That stuff drips down their faces and on their white shirt. And mom may get upset with them because they've got watermelon juice in their shirt, but the kid is loving and living in that juiciness of life. He's slobbering and lathering all that stuff in and getting down to that rind of the watermelon that is so, I think, horrible, but people don't. But that's how you live life. Live life, dive into that watermelon or dive into that melon and get it all in you. Pick it up and devour it. Let that juice of experience of life flow through you and flow over you. This Thanksgiving, allow yourself to fully savor the juiciness of life as it presents itself this year. Being full and grateful and prayerful. Master Eckhart said, if the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. Prayer is not just asking for the truest sense, it's acknowledging God's actions. Prayer doesn't change God. God is all good and all giving. Prayer changes us and makes us more perceptive of God's good that is available right here, right now in our lives, if we can accept it. True prayer is an acceptance of the divine good and acknowledging it all acknowledging that juiciness that is our life. Every day you can say thank you to everything that's around you, to everything that's within you, everything that you perceive as you wake up and appreciate it. As you wake up and appreciate the oneness and the greatness of the God and the energy that is around you. Every day you have a choice to live a life of either looking up and joyous or looking down in negativity, viewing crisis to crisis. I'm choosing to live my life to the fullest, living my life to the juiciness. As Henry David Thoreau said in Walden, I wanted to live deep and suck the marrow out of life. That's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at this Thanksgiving. I want to see what happens. I'm anticipating a wonderful, different, but another wonderful Thanksgiving where I can still have my Cheerios. I can still see friends and family virtually on the internet. Every day a decision is made, a decision to renew. I feel Thanksgiving is a perfect day to make that renewal. Because Thanksgiving is such a spiritual exercise and review. We review our lives, review the juiciness that has been our life for the past year and what we're thankful for. And as we lay that foundation of being thankful on Thanksgiving, just as I said last week that the day of kindness, a day of Thanksgiving doesn't have to be one day a year. You can lay that foundation this year at Thanksgiving to be thankful every day of the year for the life and the juiciness that your life is bringing to you and through you. Because when you focus on that, when you focus on your thankfulness, you focus on that true love expression of the pure God. To say thankful and mean it from the depths of your soul is one of the greatest experiences of your life. Being thankful, you can change your perception, your life, and your level of happiness. So when the leftovers are put away, and our bellies are full and straining against our belts, and the quiet slowly returns to your home as family goes back to their homes, or you turn off the Zoom, turn off the TV, turn off the FaceTime on the phone, and that quiet returns to your home. Savor that contrast. Savor that contrast of the hustle and bustle that got you to that meal, to the stillness and silence. Savor the thoughts that you had throughout the day, whether it was a day of great things happening or some disappointment. Think about the laughter and think about the family members. Think about those family members that may have passed this past year, made their transition. Think about the changes in your life this year. What has happened to your life? Go within. Go within that heart space that I talked about in the meditation today. That place that is home to the Christ consciousness within you. And say thank you. Say thank you to God. Say thank you to life. Say thank you to your friends. Thank you to your family. But most importantly, and something I think that we often forget, that really the person who deserves the most thanks, say thank you to yourself. Thank you to your fabulous self for making it through another year. It truly has been a year unlike any that we've ever seen before and hopefully we'll ever see again. Happy Thanksgiving to you, my spiritual family. I truly love each and every one of you. Be well. Amen. And so now we'll end in our same way that we usually do. I'm calling Lily up again as a surprise with our peace song and our prayer for protection. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
That was meant of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yay, God!
Thank you all.